Hey guys,
Hi.
welcome back to Faith in the Face of Conflict. I'm Jerron,
I'm Laura.
and it's so good to see you again. And I have a confession to make.
I'm listening.
I haven't told you yet,
Okay.
but I can't watch the news anymore.
No?
No. I don't normally watch it anyway, but now I'm like compelled to turn it off. You know, like after.
Got to your breaking point.
Yeah, I'd rather watch Moana, honestly.
Yeah, Disney's a little more lighthearted.
A little bit.
But Moana can't keep you informed.
It can't.
So.
That's very true. And that's also pretty important nowadays, you know?
Definitely.
One thing we were talking about was where are people getting their information?
Yeah, especially believers.
Exactly. Where are they getting their guidance? Where are they getting informed? So we decided to go find out.
Yeah.
We went to DC, we walked the streets, we talked to the people, and this is what we got. Who did we talk to?
We talked to Mackenzie and Victor.
Mackenzie and Victor. So this is something that they had to say.
Yeah, I think one big question that I've kind of had with respect to religious institutions is how they've kind of contributed over the last few hundred years to oppression of Black people specifically.
Yeah, when we first met Mackenzie and Victor, we talked about how we really liked that they were seeking answers. You know, they have done their research and they're continuing to research, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, and they were listening to leaders in the world and religious leaders. But our follow-up question to that was, as believers today, is that enough?
Which is an important question because these leaders, they're put in a position to answer these questions.
Yeah.
You know, they're put in a position for a reason, and if one is to stay informed, it makes logical sense to go to those leaders. But then there begs the question, why are we still running into the same questions? Why are we still having the same things unanswered over and over? So that's something that needs more attention. That's something that we need to talk about a lot more.
Yeah, conflict isn't new.
No.
Conflict has always been here. It's in our own personal stories, it's in history, and you know, there's always going to be something new that's happening tomorrow. But these questions that we always have, like, why do bad things happen to good people? Where does evil even come from? Like, this is what we really need to go back to the source to even understand.
Yeah. And so we actually spoke to another individual. His name is
Terrell.
I'm just bad with names, guys. But Terrell, yeah, and this is what he had to share.
I honestly think that some people just lose faith. And I think that a lot of people tie their faith to worldly things. And so when we see things in the world kind of descend into chaos, people start to question anything about God, I really think. A lot of time what I hear is like, why? Why does this happen? Why does God keep allowing this to happen? That we just don't understand, aren't supposed to understand, but it's not for us. I think they've tried. I think that there's a lot of people that still aren't ready to hear it, so it might be falling on deaf ears even in the church for some people, unfortunately, but I think that it's not for a lack of trying.
So the comments that he made, the conversation that we had with him, it's not that unique. Like, we have it all the time with people who have the same questions, who have the same comments. We've had the conversation between us. We've had it with our friends.
We have friends.
We have friends.
They're here.
You have to believe us. But it's not uncommon, and that's why I think it's that much more important that we know the origin of things. Like,
Definitely.
think about the conflict that's going on throughout America today. If you look back a few hundred years, learn and understand that a little bit more, and you understand why these conflicts and these problems are coming up now. The same can be true for God in the Bible. The same is true, honestly. So if we go back through the Bible to the beginning to see what the root of this, what the origin of this was, or is, I think we'd be that much more closer to understanding it and to solving it eventually. So since you're a better storyteller, what time is it? It's story time.
It's story time.
I like saying story time. Why don't you tell us how it originated?
It goes so much farther beyond man's story. So we as believers have to be curious about what God's story is too. And so to understand this, we have to go back to Genesis. And it's a little anticlimactic for story time because we already know the story, but God made Adam and Eve and he was with them in the garden. And it even says that he walked with them in the cool of the day.
That sounds
And I just like need to pause because it's hard to even imagine. Looking around in our world, like we can't imagine a paradise like that. And so something must have happened. There must have been some separation.
Mm-hmm.
But we can understand this too. We all have past either friendships or relationships that for some reason have been broken, whether that be an outside factor, whether that be an internal argument. But it was so severe that that relationship was broken. And it's the same with God and Adam. There was a rift in the relationship because of Adam's sin, because of Satan's craftiness, and it all built up to God ultimately being separated from the creation that he loves.
Which is pretty sad that Satan just got to come in and perform a coup d'etat on. I told you I was going to say it.
You promised.
I don't know what it translates to, but I know what it
So you
means.
can't use it.
I know it. I know how to use it. But yeah, he basically came and took over God's creation, and it's just the saddest story.
Just kidnapped us.
Just kidnapped us. But I think if you think about it, the understanding that how that conflict started, right? Like the battle between God and Satan, the disagreement, or rather the rebellion of Adam by not listening to God's word and disobeying the command. Like even that, what's the next thing that happens? Like there's sons, right?
Yeah.
Cain and Abel. What happens between Cain and Abel?
Murder.
Yeah, you guys know the answer. Say it with me. No. But yeah, murder. Like it's such a drastic jump from what was a disagreement. It went straight to murder. That's how quickly conflict grew and rose because sin entered the world. And between brothers, no less. Like that's even more sad about it. And knowing that how long it's been since then to now, like of course conflict and sin, pain, suffering, all these things, of course they've only escalated since.
Still here.
Yeah.
Because ultimately this isn't just a matter of the world, this is a matter of the heart. All of those stories, it's the internal person making these decisions.
Yeah.
And so we really have to reflect on that.
A lot. And it seems a bit sad or, bleak to think there was conflict in the beginning. There's still conflict now. But that's why we have hope, right? As believers, we have to have hope. I mean, ask yourself, what's your hope? More than likely, your hope is whatever you think about the most, right? But we also have to ask, what's God's hope? God has a hope too. What is it that he wants to happen? Luckily, we don't have to guess. We can go to Revelation 21. God has a hope and a plan for us to be reconnected with him, to be reunited with him, to have a time where there will be no more death, suffering, crying, or pain, no more hate, basically. And once that happens, we would have hit a huge milestone. As believers, our hope has to match the person that we believe in. So even learning more about the Bible and learning the origin of it, learning where we're going with it, learning God's heart so that we can match ours to his, I think that's super important for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think, I don't know, that was a lot of
That was a
information.
lot.
You want to
Should we
recap?
recap?
Yeah.
So to recap, God never intended to make a world with so much conflict in it. But because of sin, because of Satan, there's been this separation ever since, which is why there's been so much hate and conflict ever since too. But if this is a problem or an issue that started with our faith, it has to be resolved with our faith too.
That was very well put, actually.
Thank
So,
you. Wow.
someone write that down. That's like a quote. But yeah, with that faith that we have, with the hope that we have that can match with God's, I believe that us as a community of believers, that we really can make a difference. And not only that, but more importantly, make God's plan happen even one day sooner. So if you agree, if you have questions, let us know. We
Please
can't.
do.
Yeah, we can't talk to you. We can't come to you if you're not in DC. And even if you are, chances are there's a lot of people in DC. We might not.
We're not
relate
going to find you,
Yeah.
so comment below.
So yeah, leave a comment. Tell us what you think. It's through your voices that we can hear what believers are saying and move past it and forward towards the hope that we all should share together.
Definitely.
So yeah, subscribe if you want to know more about the verses that we were referencing. Leave a like and don't forget to comment. We really want to know what you guys think, okay? So with all that said, we're gonna see you guys next week as we continue to live a life
Faith.
and have faith.
No. In the face of conflict.
Let's have faith.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Is it bad that it looks like I don't know our own logo?